morning, guys, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check. I'm Snorlax. You also know me as Tommy, joined by Max today. Maybe we'll get Tucker on at some point later in this show. I know he's having a bunch of issues with his Wi-Fi right now, but for now, we're going to roll with this. We're going to keep it pretty casual, but we appreciate you guys for being here on this beautiful Thursday morning. At least it's beautiful where I'm living right now. Hopefully, you all can say the same. But yeah, no, definitely some turmoil within the markets this week, right? I want to get right to what I think is probably the crux or the cause of this downside. And I was mentioning it on the Giga Chad call this morning. It seems as though the turmoil that we're seeing in China right now is just sucking liquidity right out of the market. I couldn't really explain the exact dynamics of why that is. I think it has a lot to do with the dollar, for example. But I mean, what we're seeing right now in China, from what I have gathered, is sucking liquidity out of this market, especially out of risk markets. You're seeing that, very pronounced within altcoins over the course of this week. And I guess a lot of mega cap, it's like a brain.
Mega cap tech.
You're seeing some of those bleed all throughout the week as well. So, I mean, there has not been as much liquidity within the market this week, not as much willingness to take risk and continue to push price higher. And, we're finally seeing that long-awaited pullback across all markets that, it basically took us all summer to get, but it's finally here. And I guess the question that remains, and probably we can't really answer for another few weeks, is this the dip for buying before potentially another leg higher into the end of the year, into next year? Or is this, the double top meme in equities, the whole, I love that Bobo the Bear meme, double top.
Yeah. That's one of the best ones. That's one of Tucker's favorites, man. He should be here to display it. It's true art.
Love that meme. But I mean, the title of the video is Bitcoin is nuking and it's not done yet. I don't think it's done yet, personally. I know Max doesn't think it's done either. The lack of liquidity within the crypto market has, just continued to cause this bleed. We are on support. I will preface with that, but I don't really love the open interest profile that we have coming into it, because we haven't really shed any delta, right? Like we had some long liquidations yesterday, but you look at the overall open interest, it's still mostly unchanged. So does that signify that most of the open interest are shorts that will eventually squeeze, or does that signify that we really haven't tagged that many long stops yet? I could see both cases. I think given the backdrop that we're seeing in legacy markets right now, it's probably the latter. It's probably more likely that we have yet to see the bigger long puke. But with that said, I don't think it really makes sense to be opening shorts up right here, right? Like you're opening up shorts essentially at range low, value area low. We all know what can happen when you do that. You can get squeezed out of position fairly easily. Your convictions may be strong, but you're on support, so they might fool around, or we fooled around on support for a long time already. So maybe they just finally drop the floor out. I don't know. But I do know that what I can see in the altcoin market does not look very conducive for speculative risk. It's just been a relentless bleed all week. And a lot of these altcoin structures look like they have a lot more to give. If Bitcoin is going to lose its floor, and you simultaneously have, China and other macroeconomic factors sucking liquidity out of the market here locally, it creates a bit of a scary picture for a lot of these altcoins, because you kind of wonder where the bid side support is going to come in, if it's going to come in. I'm not saying these things are going to go to zero, but low liquidity, illiquid slop isn't very good for altcoins to perform well. But I will say, some of these on-chain markets, they are holding up pretty well, right? I mean, they are, at the end of the day, smaller portions or smaller amounts of liquidity within a greater crypto ecosystem. And when you look at the valuations of the tokens that have been pumping the hardest, you would think, based on how much, crypto Twitter has been talking about them, that they'd be worth significantly more than they are, right? Like ticker Bitcoin. I think it peaked out at about 200 million market cap. That's really not that big compared to a lot of these exchange alts that as we've been saying, they've just been bleeding all week, and they're still probably multiples larger than these on-chain bags that people. I can't imagine. There will probably be a sell-off on-chain bags if Bitcoin loses the support. Like, let's be clear, but when you adjust for beta, it'll probably hold up better than some of these exchange alts, at least. But that's enough for me to open here. I'm going to pass it over to Max. We can get into some charts. I want to see what you're thinking with Bitcoin right now, Max. It's in a very precarious position. We have longs coming in. Funding doesn't really look very positive, or it is positive, but it doesn't look very positive for the bulls.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll kind of see how it resolves. But I think in general, my expectation into the end of August is probably more downside.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy. Look, man, I agree with what you said. How do I put this? Well, I'm seeing funding kind of climbing across the board. I'm seeing open interest climbing across the board. I haven't seen any major liquidations yet for longs, even though we've been dropping. We've seen some liquidations, but like nothing crazy, like before, like real reversals. Typically, you'd want to see maybe like, I don't know, I'd want to see at least like 5 times more liquidations than we've seen here on this little drop, give or take. I just don't think there's been enough like hunting and positive funding across the board. Spot selling off. There looks like every time that people are stepping in to try to bid this thing, it's getting absorbed relatively quickly. So the big question is if there's new longs opening here. Now, granted, people are shorting. Okay, you're looking at 2 of them, but I think there's more people longing here because they think that the bleed is just going to stop. And I think
I think we need to clarify a little bit, Max, that we didn't short down here. We have runners from higher.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. We are short from significantly higher up on alts and BTC. Stops are all in profit and at break even. Tommy and myself, we hold 0 risk of actually losing money on this short at this point. We're not opening up new shorts here yet. I'm considering it, but I have not yet. But where I think the real risk comes in is, one, I think that there are fresh longs coming in down here, and that's reflected in funding across the board. And 2, BNB has yet to really break down in a meaningful way. And something that we were talking about in the show, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, was if alts are already bleeding this much and Bitcoin hasn't even broken down yet and BNB hasn't even broken down yet, could we potentially be sort of on the brink of one of those your favorite altcoin is down 27% in a day kind of candles? Okay. Maybe it's going to be very contingent upon one Bitcoin actually breaking down to like 26K or something like that, very aggressive. And that's going to be contingent upon BNB losing that range low, that bull market range low that we've talked about. So I'd like to kind of just dive into the charts. We'll poke around. We're going to see what we can find, provide some technical confluence to what we're talking about here. But I mean, the stage is definitely being set for a flush because, again, they're chasing this thing. They are not like aggressively shorting into the range low. There are shorts coming in, but I think people are more aggressively longing. I'm viewing longs as the aggressor down here. So if these longs get absorbed and they don't, make much, they tried to bid it here at like, here, I'm going to share my screen. They've been trying to bid it here. And again, this is reflected in like, more of like the granular data. I could try to pull it up. There's some longs coming in, here, and they're trying to push it up. But if they continually get like absorbed, right up in this area and they're unable to like really push through, then this is when they start to puke. Then all these longs here, then they puke and they send us down lower. So we'll see if they can do it, man. We'll see if they can do it. But I'm just not really seeing. I'm not really seeing like the aggressive. I'm not seeing the aggressors winning right now. Something that I'm keeping an eye on too is this level, this 4-hour sort of like, we'll call it 4-hour supply or, breaker block, whatever you want to call it.
Supply
we really
now.
Shouldn't get, what's that, Tommy?
Supply now.
Supply now. it was, it was demand right here. And, they tried to bid it twice. You can see the wicks. And now it's supply because everybody that bought there is getting absolutely stuffed. So, I mean, we could maybe come back, do something like that, little squeeze, something like that. But I mean, truthfully, I don't know. I wouldn't be looking for longs here necessarily. I think that there's potentially, better places to long, if we start moving down. But I mean, we could talk about some like potential high time frame levels. That could be a useful exercise. I mean, if we're really going to slide and slide aggressively, I mean, I think this is a pretty obvious level right here. Coming back into I mean, this is like serious demand right here. Right in this region, somewhere here. I mean, I know that's big, right? I would probably expect us to bounce more like right here. If we are going to bounce. But then the question remains, like, if we do bleed here, then you run into this issue, where you come back up potentially and you might just ping pong a little bit. You might do something like this, so if you come down here and you bounce, then this becomes, serious. This becomes a serious issue. All of this is now resistance. So if you come back up, then it's like, well, where do you go next? Do you double bottom there? Do you go for this low? There's a lot of different things to consider, but I mean, a very obvious target, in my opinion, is going to be probably sub 27.5. And I imagine that would probably get us like the long puke that we would need to potentially just kind of like clear things out a bit. What do you think, Tommy?
No, I think you're right. I kind of see it two ways, right? Like that area you have marked out is massive level for demand. I remember the flow that we had before that squeeze was very heavily spot driven. You had the Bitfinex open interest spike back up in a pretty significant way to form that low. So, there's definitely some significance to that level from that standpoint that would indicate that we're probably going to bounce from there. But if we don't have a puke, if buyers from the top don't puke and lose their positions, it's still going to remain supply. And ultimately might just bleed, range, and chop until we see lower prices, or it might just capitulate, right? It might just go through that demand. One of the things that we've been saying before is that this double top pattern that you're seeing on Bitcoin potentially, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a double top, but right now that picture is indicating that is a double top right there. Before any reversals, whatever, right now it's the double top, which is a lot like what we saw in Q1. Right, with Bitcoin when we went, Max, can you go to the structure from Q1 where we had our run up? Yeah, it looks like that to me, where we had that very clearly defined level of demand that people are probably going to try and bid. And I mean, I don't know, maybe it ends the same. Where you have
well,
you
allow me the honors then, Tommy. Allow me the honors.
Yeah, let's do
We're
some
talking about it being the same. Let's see about all that now. And let me just do a little massaging here.
See that, man. Wow.
Actually, I have this saved. You and I did this already. Hang on.
We've done this before.
We've done this before. There it is. That's it right there. All right.
It's so low volatility. It's taken forever to play out.
Here, let's remove these. It's getting a little bit messy. Yeah, we already did this together. Look at this. Look at that playing out. So when we made it, we were in the blue box. We didn't move it at all. I
could also see the case that we're already on the last leg of that type of move, right? The final capitulation leg with just like that slow dribble and bleed out of a low volatility consolidation. I could see that. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. That's the scenario, I think, where it only dips into previous demand at like 25, 26. The deeper scenario is that one. And it probably depends a lot on what's happening with China. Or Binance, who knows?
I mean, Asia's influence for the altcoin market can't be understated.
Yes.
What do you really know about the China situation, Tommy?
I really don't know. We can look at let's look at the
yen. I think.
That's the Japanese currency, right?
Yuan. I
The
don't know.
yuan, that's how you say it?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
China dollar, man. It's
Let's
just
look at
China
that
dollar.
pair on the dollar.
You want to look at the Chinese yuan?
Yuan.
I don't know.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but we're gonna look at it.
All right. Is it yuan or whatever?
Yeah,
Or
it should be
I don't even know. I don't really look at Forex
YUAN.
much.
That might not be the ticker for it.
Here, we'll go Forex. I don't know what the ticker is for because I don't trade Forex, but Japanese yen. Here, we'll cheat this way. CNY, that's it.
Oh, it's
I knew
CNY.
that. But I don't trade Forex, so all right. This is a weekly time frame. Let's start with monthly. Okay. All right. If this was an altcoin, what would you be thinking?
I mean, I'd be kind of thinking that it's at least going into that upper liquidity, right? That first monthly FEG that we have. Can you invert it, actually, JK?
Sure, I can. Ooh,
That'll paint the
breakout.
better picture, I think. Yeah, because the dollar's super bullish on the or against this. So yeah, no, I'd expect that to be making new all-time highs. Not gonna lie, for the dollar, that is, not for the yuan. That I'm gonna continue to butcher how to pronounce it. Wonder if the comment section's.
That's a clean range, isn't it? Huh.
That is a very clean, and ultimately, it's a sign of kind of what we saw in 2022, but happening in a kind of a more isolated market, right? The dollar wrecking ball playing out in full fervor in China. So that to me is the most bearish thing about this market. And I don't fully understand the implications of what this means, Max. Like I'm going to come out straight away and say that, but somebody who does, and I consider to be a very bright macro mind, David Bell, was talking about that. It's very, for China, it's very comparable to 2007 to 2008. And if he's going to say something like that, I take that pretty seriously, right? I mean, that's a pretty big statement to make. I don't know what that means for the next few months, the next few weeks, but as far as liquidity goes, and you have, like you said, Asia is very important to this market. When you look at Bitcoin and crypto, a lot of these market makers are Asian institutions. So you're already seeing a lot of them, shed their altcoin inventory. I saw somebody ask about that in the comment section about it not being a good idea to pick up alts. I just think I do hold alts long term, by the way, but I have on-chain stuff. But I think exchange alts that are directly correlated to Bitcoin and market liquidity are probably going to suffer as long as they have this overhang in Asian markets. I think we're seeing that pretty clearly right now. But as far as the longs go, I mean, I would rather, just given how we've traded this year, right? It's either like it's just chop and bleed and chop and bleed, and eventually you get the squeeze. But if you're trying to catch a knife with longs, with the exception of, I think, betting on strong narratives on altcoins, because those can just trade as isolated markets, right? I would rather just wait for a market structure break before longing, because there will be chasing, there will be a squeeze, and when the market structure break does come, it happens very quickly. But until then, you're basically just longing perpetual bleed and perpetual downtrend. That is an interesting looking chart.
Here's what's concerning about all this for me. Okay, so inverted Bitcoin, right? Like if you were looking at this chart, you'd be looking at this right here and being like, okay, this is all, like, this was previous demand. Like imagine this wasn't like a monthly time frame, or we're looking like way back, right? You'd be looking at this as like a range, okay? And then you'd go, okay, here's like roughly our mid range, whatever. But this is all demand. We had a breakout, retesting demand. What would you expect to have happen here? Like if this was a 5-minute chart, you'd be like, oh yeah, easy. Like we're gonna, look at all this. We'll backfill these inefficiencies.
Do we have to fill all of it? Come on.
No, we don't have to. I mean,
Because I
all right,
will
if
say
this was
one
a
thing.
5 minute,
I will say
yeah,
one thing. The Chinese news is, I don't know how long it's going to last. It's a very bearish catalyst in the immediate term, but over a long period of time, it's ultimately going to be bullish for US equities.
I would low key be looking at this right here. Like I would look at this and say, okay, like this would probably be like my TP right here. Reason being is like we had this big inefficiency here from this drop, and we made a really solid like partial backfill of it. Like that was pretty damn good. We got up there. We just still have all of this, that just never really got backfilled. Like I would be looking at this level. And confluence with that, I know that's so aggressive, right? Like it's very emotional because it's Bitcoin. Like you can't, it's hard to remove the emotion from Bitcoin. I get it, guys. But look at our friend CME gap. Oops.
All
Our
the memes.
friend,
EGAP.
good old CME gap right here. Completely unmitigated CME gap. The last one below us.
You know what just kind of hit me was when you inverted the chart, I felt like I had seen that pattern. As I remember talking about it, ironically, this is the 1 year anniversary of Because Bitcoin, by the way. So I wanted to mention that on stream, or of us going public, that is with our media. But, I remember almost a year ago, we were talking about Bitcoin trading in that, oh God, just that God awful 18, 19, 20K range. And we knew that liquidity at, I think it was 22, 23K was going to get tagged at some point. We knew eventually. We just didn't know when, and it was kind of hard to position for. And then it did it like very, very rapidly. And that pattern that you have kind of laid out right there with Bitcoin inverted makes me think we're going to do a similar thing where we trade into that first FVG that we have right there. And if it
Right
plays
here.
out the same, we're going to reject from the FVG and make a new, and you see ultimately another leg of trend continuation. Do you see it, Max? Like what I'm illustrating?
Are you thinking like this FVG right here?
No, I'm thinking like, oops, sorry, I hit the table.
Or are you talking about this one?
Yeah. So like into that
Yeah.
FVG, and then, I mean, after that, it grinded out for a little bit again, and then put in another leg higher ultimately, or another leg lower. But that would be the equivalent of Bitcoin putting in another leg higher this year. Yeah, something like that.
I could see that for sure. I mean, reason being too is, I mean, let's contextualize this a little bit. So, for one, we've got that CME gap down here. Two, high time frame order block here. This is a weekly, so we're on the weekly time frame. So this is weekly support, like a really, really high time frame weekly support right here. At the same time, we do have a really hot monthly level above us that it's the last basically like monthly gap on the chart. All right, right up here. So we'll make this red and we'll say monthly FVG, and we'll make this 20 so you guys can read it, and we'll make this 20 as well. It would make sense from like a liquidity standpoint as well as like a high time frame support perspective that we could do something really aggressive, like just bleed, oh it's over, and then like just like run this thing back before the halving, and then we're up here for the halving, something like that.
I
It
can see
would
that.
be in line too with the analysis that Tucker's done, where typically pre-halving years, 6 to 9 months before a halving, you get a really like nasty aggressive 25, 30, 40% dip in price, like one more shakeout or flush before they run it back.
It's been a while since Bitcoin has had a big sell. We have not had a single day this year over 10% as far as selling goes, and that is not the Bitcoin that I know. So that
What's
is
the
not the
Bitcoin that you
Bitcoin that
know?
I know.
It's been a while since Bitcoin has caused real pain, right?
except real pain to bulls, to bears. Pretty much like all year, with the
Yeah,
exception of
no,
like
it
6 days.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a little bit less concerned about like Bitcoin. I mean, I am short Bitcoin from higher. You are too. Like a lot of our community is, but I'm truthfully concerned about like the BNB crap potentially.
Yeah, let's take a
Um,
look at that chart.
we're looking
How's
at
good old CZ coin doing?
silver this morning with a good friend Jackus in Discord. Let's see. BNB is sorry, I've got a huge Will's Outlook
That's a
style
Will's
watch list
Outlook.
right now.
Yeah.
I know I got too much stuff. Here we go. Yeah,
You got to
all right.
condense that watch list, Max.
I know I do for sure.
That's why I
Okay.
categorize mine.
Let's start here. Oh my gosh, that is just an ugly looking chart, you know. This reminds me of sell me all the FTT you want at 22 and then fuck off tweet from Caroline.
I hate that you're right, but on that front, it does look very similar to how FTT looked prior to the drop. I don't think it's going to go to zero, though. I don't know where it goes, but when it does go, if it does go, it's going to dramatically outperform Bitcoin and ETH to the downside.
For sure. It's just a tough short to nail, honestly. Like
I
this
just
thing
don't
is
even know why
tough.
you'd want to, because if BNB is getting wrecked like that, probably every other altcoin in the market is too.
Dude, look at this thing. Oh my, it's just I don't want
That
like
looks
this is if this was not the like weekly time frame, we'd have to put a stop up here 100 points higher, but it's like this was the dip for, this was the rip for shorting right here, man. I mean, this
jeez.
thing is like
That
look at
looks pretty
this.
scary. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, and look at all this air, man. Look at this. Look at all this air. Oh gosh.
What is
Look at
hiding
that.
under the floorboards?
Dude, literally. Are you hiding mass liquidations under 225 CZ?
You're hiding under collateralized loans under the floorboards, aren't you?
You are harboring under collateralized investors underneath 225, aren't you, CZ? Oh
Can you
man.
craft the synthetic pair for me, Max? The BNB against Bitcoin and ETH?
I'd be more than happy to. BNB USDT.
Because if they're selling inventory to support BNB, I think it's an important pair.
You want it as a ratio or like a pair, so
Yeah, so
against
BNB
Bitcoin
divided
plus
by
ETH?
BNB divided by Bitcoin plus ETH.
Okay.
You'll have to do the second half in parentheses to make it work. Order of operations and all. We know PEMDAS
PEMDAS,
as
right?
Bitcoin.
Yeah. PEMDAS. Is this what you were looking for?
Yes.
All right. Oh goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically, guys, what this chart would mean is this is BNB as a ratio against Bitcoin and ETH. So if this is bleeding down, that means that BNB is basically bleeding against Bitcoin and Ethereum. So of course you can see how strong it's basically been since 2021. It's been outperforming Bitcoin and ETH. But
what if this is the real like altcoin index, the altcoin strength index? I'd be curious to do a little bit more research on that, but I think it's pretty interesting. I think it might very well come down into that swing high that you have marked out. For my fib traders, if you love trading with golden pockets, I pretty much just use them as confluence. But we are rejecting off of the golden pocket on this pair. So I do think more downside is coming for BNB against Bitcoin and Ethereum. Who knows what BNB USD does? It's CC manipulated coin, but that paints a very grisly picture to me.
Well, I mean, look at this range, right? I mean, this is like, so if this bleeds right here, I mean, that's 40% drop potentially to range low. Why? I mean, you could even deviate below. Like, look at, there's some of these gaps too, man. I mean, you don't.
So if Bitcoin dropped about 20% and BNB dropped, that would mean BNB what drops like 40%. How much would that mean BNB drops if it's dropping 40% against Bitcoin and ETH? I'd have to do some research, some
So it would
math.
have to be an average, right? So it'd be like if Bitcoin drops 10% and ETH drops 12%, just take the middle, right? So like 11% on average, those two drop. And then BNB against those two as an average would be minus 40%. So just add that on. So it'd be a 50% bleed against the US dollar pair.
Okay.
So if
So
Bitcoin and
Bitcoin
ETH on,
probably goes like
yeah.
10 or 15% lower, and then BNB goes to like 150, 140.
Yeah, so let's just do a little bit of dubious speculation here for our P&Ls. Oh, we're getting a little movement here. I'd like to see that. Okay. So where do we want to say that Bitcoin goes here for the sake of this BNB pair discussion? Should we just say right
Yeah,
here,
we'll just
20?
use the most simple, like if we just bleed down into 27K, for example. Well, no, I guess that's really not that big of a move. Say we go to like 26.5, I guess, 26K into the
All
big
right,
level.
here's 26 and a half. I like that level. Previous demand. Okay. So that would be 6%. Now we got to do ETH because we got to take an average. So where's ETH going to go? I think ETH would go back basically to this range low right here, like somewhere around here.
I kind of think ETH could puke harder than people think.
I have got this level, this daily level right here, all the way down.
Like that.
All
I
right.
like
So
that.
we'll be a little bit conservative, right? So let's just say like 15, just all right. 11%. All right. So if Bitcoin is going to bleed 6% and ETH's going to bleed 11%, we'll
8 or
split the
9%.
difference, right? Yeah, so 7, 8, 8.5. I don't know, something like that. Let's just say 8%. All right. So it's conservative, right? So we'll say we're playing it on the conservative side, on the soft side. So let's just say if Bitcoin and ETH bleed 8, potentially 9%, and we go to this pair and it's going to bleed during that move, do you think it could actually bleed down to range low there, or would you think maybe like here?
I don't know. I think it really depends on, like, do we make it through the month of August without any Binance headline risk? I think that's the big
No.
question. If the answer is no, then probably going down. I mean, on that pair, probably like 20, 30%.
All right. Let's just do right here. Let's do this. Let's just do this wick right here. All right. We're going to do this one right here. It'd be taking out, these lows here. I think that'd be good too. So we got these equal lows here. We'll be conservative, right? We're not gonna be too doomer about it. But I think it can bleed, 20%. So if the average bleed for Bitcoin and ETH here is going to be, let's just say 8%, and this pair BNB against Bitcoin and ETH could potentially bleed, let's just say 20%. You just add that on. So that means BNB would be down basically like almost 30%. So let's go back to
value right now.
Yeah, we might be. Let's go back to BNB. So BNB going down 30% from right here would basically be 156. And that's perfectly inside this gap right here. Again, a lot has to play out. We are about to shit the bed here. Look at that.
Just looks so nasty, man. Just
Oh,
it's a bleed. People are longing a bleed. It's like, yes, we're leaving highs untapped. Eventually we'll take them all in one go, but these bleeds usually don't end before we make longs puke. Hold on.
Dude, that's what we were talking about right when we came on the show, is like people are literally longing here, man. Like they were longing this. We were watching this. We said here, we were on this time frame. No, we weren't. We were on, was it lower? Yes, it was like right here. It was this green candle. I said, you can see the buy volume coming in. They're buying, and if they can't get above, I literally drew this circle. I said, if they
what
can't get
indicator
above
is
here
that,
soon,
Max? I like
they're
that.
gonna puke, and it's gonna take us lower. And look at, they're all puking. Okay, everybody that bought this candle is literally, this is them puking. This is, you are watching it in real time. Weak bulls right here. You see the green candle. They're trying to buy in. Here they go. They failed. Goodbye.
If they can
Goodbye.
re-engulf that, if they can re-engulf that price level before dumping further, though, it might trigger a squeeze.
Yeah, there'll be a squeeze. It's a short covering squeeze. You know,
What indicator is that, Max? I kind of like that.
it's just a volume one. So it's a colored candle by volume Z score by Morty, and I can show you my settings on here.
Did
It's super nice.
Max, I can tell you have the most expensive version of TradingView by all those indicators.
I do, man. That's, you know how many times I clicked add an indicator and it's like you they can't add anymore. And I'm just like, dude, forget it. So I started doing the Black Friday sale every single year because it's like it's a pretty good deal, you know. And I think about it like this, man. I spend like 8 hours a day on TradingView, probably more. I might as well just go for it, you know.
You got to have the tools that you're using every day, might as well be really high quality, you know.
I own a nice car. I have a nice apartment. I have TradingView Premium. That's it.
I know which one I want. The TradingView Premium.
Let's take a look at Tommy's favorite coin. Looks like a little short covering here on that drop, Tommy.
Yeah. Kind of expected that. That was a big level.
It'll get sold off, man.
Yeah, I've got a pretty gnarly fractal on this guy, but I will say if it can stop selling at kind of around 0.57, 0.58, they might be able to save it. Otherwise, I mean, Matic is probably like toast. And I was telling my fiance yesterday, I don't know if she was listening to me, but I was telling her that some of these assets that could puke, they are in a state where I don't know if they are ever going to be bid again. So if something like Matic were to lose, like, I mean, this is literally just speculating, right? Dubious speculation. If Matic were to lose 40 or 50% off of its current valuation, when does volatility ever come back on that coin? You know, this might be the last time. I was thinking to myself, this might be the last time I trade Matic, which made me sad because I love shorting this thing.
You know what? Maybe when they rebrand, right? You were telling me they're changing their name. That could bring a little bit of activity to it temporarily.
POL, Polygon.
Yeah, I don't.
They've got a good biz dev team. If it nukes hard enough, I might buy some. But from a trading standpoint, I think the volatility on a lot of these altcoins is going to be toast for a long time if they are going to have some super aggressive move lower here. It would be the type of move that would trigger a consolidation in these altcoin markets. And as Ben Cowan would probably say, it would be a part of like a cyclical reset, right?
It would be. It would be healthy. Here you guys go. That's where Tommy shorted. He's the issue, man.
I can't see it.
What price is this line at?
Oh, those are that's my, yeah. No,
that's your entry. I'm giving away your entry on stream. That's where Tommy shorted.
I shorted it at 0.72, closed, and then re-shorted at that level because I was like, wait, why did I close on this? This thing's going to zero.
Tommy's nuking your Matic bag, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Me and Trader XO. I was reading some of the trolls in his comments yesterday. I'd never really noticed how aggressive Matic bag holders were.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, here's the problem, man, is it trades so cleanly, and XO is so damn good at trading, and he's just made so much money shorting it this year. He told me his win rate on it this year, man. I think he's above like 90%. accuracy trading Matic. I don't remember the exact figure, so don't quote me on it, but it was like a stupid number, you know. And
I
he
bet
just
he's got a
posts it in real
crazy win rate
time.
shorting that.
What's that?
I bet he's got a crazy win rate shorting that. I have been unwilling to swing trade altcoins like all year on perps. This is probably like the first legitimate swing trade on any altcoin I've taken all year from like a leverage standpoint. But it's paying off. Can't complain. What are some other alts looking like? What's my favorite trash alt near looking like?
I have near an OP high up on my
Yeah, I
my
definitely want to
list.
look at optimism too, which is
Yeah, of
actually
course.
pessimism right now.
Look at this little normie trend line action. So here I got my fractal save. Tommy, do you remember the fractal when I shorted near with you on stream? We
Yes.
were looking. Yeah. All right. I've got the fractal save still.
Oh my God.
Let's take a look. I'll remove this. I mean, I could maybe massage it a little bit. Doesn't really need to, but here's the fractal. Piece of
Low
shit.
volatility making the fractal stretch out a little bit longer, or we got some catching up to do?
Oh, we'll go back. We'll go back here, man. We'll go back here. I fumbled this, man. I closed this one too early, man. I was just getting impatient with it, and I don't know. I should have just kept it open, but anyways, I still have my fractal. Pretty ugly, man. Here's the
I don't know why
astonishing.
you would ever bid near again, though. To be honest, like that coin
No,
is
you wouldn't.
to zero.
And here's what I wanted to show you guys. We're gonna take a look at how near performs, or not even against Bitcoin. We're gonna go against total. All right. Give me one moment. You're going to see what a piece of crap this coin is and how it just never does anything noteworthy. All right.
Near was the original like SUI, SEI world coin to me. Like that's how I viewed it. It's just VC exit liquidity.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Look at this entire year.
No bid.
And here's total. Like
that's pretty embarrassing.
As total's been climbing up all year, as crypto's been doing well, look at what near has been doing. Like just disgusting. You know? It's basically been sitting at its FTX capitulation range lows, you know, the entire year.
Accumulation, Max.
Oh, accumulation.
It's accumulating.
Yeah. I'm going to accumulate some short positions on it is what I'm going to do.
What is I really want to look at Optimism and LDO because those are the two altcoins that I think, along with Matic and Solana, are the most institutionally held altcoins in the space.
All right, let's take a look at OP. This is one I should have gotten.
Did you take that short?
No, I didn't, dude. I had it set. I'm
so
annoyed.
No.
I know. I literally was okay. Here's what I was waiting for. So we had a 2-day FVG right here, and I was watching it right here, and I was like, just one more spike. Just give me like 1.615, and it just never did. It was too weak. Look, I had it all set and everything, man, and it just didn't. Limits and everything. I should have just taken it, man. Should have just taken it.
That coin's been trading super manipulated, though, Max. If you want to pull up Coinalyze and look at the Optimism open interest chart, it's hysterical.
Oh, I have no doubt.
It's
I have no doubt.
Predatory, honestly. Like you will get a really good laugh out of it. No, they sucked every little bit of easy liquidity out of Optimism that they possibly could.
Here, let's see if we can get it from. See if we can get it from our friend Leviathan. Here's the OI. Yeah, look at this OI profile,
in
man.
the background. I can mute my mic. They're doing something.
I don't. You sound fine to me. Yeah. Yeah, this is gross. I mean, looking like where are the obvious levels of like a retest? I don't know if this is anything. Ooh.
I don't
Ooh,
bid trend lines, but
I do.
what does
I
LDO look
selected
like?
it.
Because it's kind of hand in hand with OP.
I think let's get this off my crypto list. Oh, where did you go, LDO? Maybe I don't have you on there anymore. Yes, I do. I just didn't see it.
It's a horrible coin to trade.
Let's see what chart I had. Oh, look at I had a little something done here. Okay.
What does it
That
look
looks,
like inverted?
I can tell you it's gonna look like a breakout. Oh dear. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Lines up with my Bitcoin bias, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, man. I mean, like this is a pretty obvious, like
You think it's
this
going
would
all the way
be
down there?
I don't know. I know Wabi's really bullish on LDO for next cycle, so I don't know enough about it to like make that assertion, but from a technical perspective, like I mean, I could see some of these levels getting hit. I just don't I couldn't say either way really. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable. There's people that would understand the mechanics better than me, but just from a technical perspective, like
It does look
it's
like it's
pretty
about to
brutal.
break support. I think that's the most important part. Because
Here's what I'll say.
I like to use LDO as my barometer for institutional health in crypto because it is the most held altcoin.
So I think in theory we should hold this level. Like we should hold this level right here.
Because I feel like making or coming back into that super deep level of demand, it's possible. I can see it from a technical standpoint, but we only got there because of like a massive staked ETH depeg. So I don't know if we can replicate that.
Yeah, I don't we oh, and guys, I forgot we got 31 people watching. It looks like we only have 15 likes so far. Our goal is always 30, but I'm a little bit late to nag you guys to like the video today. So if you are enjoying the video, if you're enjoying the stream with me and Snorlax, please just take one moment real quick and just smash the thumbs up button for us. It really helps the channel grow, really helps push the content. Thank you guys so much again for being here on our nuke day. But yeah, please, if you can spare a like, we would be very greatly appreciative. So yeah, I don't know a ton about LDO, but the technicals don't look great. I think an obvious level would be like this. This should hold. If this doesn't hold, I don't know.
Up or down, I'm just very happy to have volatility back in some exchange coins because it was getting very, very bleak. And it's ironic. We said, like, you look at Bitcoin historical volatility max, it hasn't even risen yet. People are assuming low volatility into the end of the month. Actually, IVs are down into like August, end of month, August, IV is down. We were having this conversation yesterday. Meanwhile, the price of volatility every other month is starting to rise. What that means, I mean, I don't know. I do think it's interesting. People are still shorting volatility.
Little wick. Yeah, we're starting here. Maybe. Here's
Maybe.
Bitcoin volatility.
Maybe. Big maybe.
Yeah, big maybe. Perpetual bleed.
It is.
I hope we get it, man, because that means we're gonna need something like this for the nuke. We're gonna need something like that for the nuke that I want.
I kind of think that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a small spike on a nuke, and then we're going to consolidate with volatility, form a bottom. And then when we see upside, volatility is going to rip. Because historical vol on Bitcoin always rips the hardest with upside.
See, look, here we go. Map out some previous ones. So this is Bitcoin down here. This is Bitcoin volatility up here. You can see, excuse me, you can see the relationship.
What do you think, Max?
What do you guys think about this cycle? Is the Bitcoin bottom in? Um,
28.
I won't say yes or no. I will attach. Ooh, we're sliding. I will attach probabilities to it though. I will attach some probabilities to it. I will play your game, West BTC. No, my rewards are getting nuked. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin. Oh my goodness. Tommy, are we in my fractal, man?
I don't know, man.
You know where my fractal is.
I was as far as a Bitcoin bottom goes, I personally do think the bottom is in. If we are having a shorter cycle and you have a shorter I have like two completely different thoughts. There's the one that's completely technically driven. I think the plan that everybody can see, right, where we trade a touch higher before eventually, putting in a lower low on Bitcoin. If it were a 5-minute chart, that's probably how I would be trading it, right? Like 36 down to 12. But Bitcoin doesn't really always necessarily respect trading super obvious technicals. So I could also see the scenario that we just front ran 12K and that we're never going to see another bottom as well. And I think that scenario is directly tethered probably with, I would imagine now, post China turmoil QE driven into markets, probably good for crypto. Bitcoin faster, I mean, increasingly faster all-time highs versus the, what's the, like closer to the halving. So I don't know. I mean, I have two completely different opinions, and it all kind of comes down to what happens over the next like 2, 3, 4 months in regards to price. I know that didn't help you answer your question, though. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'm interested in like saying yes or no because I don't know. I will say I can paint the scenario for you on what it would look like if the bottom wasn't in and what I think that would look like. But I also think I'll probably be bidding like well before that. Like I probably wouldn't still be like hanging out, like if we're down at 20K or like, 17K, like kind of back in this slot over here, I'm probably not going to be waiting. Like I'm probably going to be scooping up some of the stuff I want and I'll, continue to deploy. But I mean, I'm happy to talk about like what the lower low would look like in my opinion. So for one, charts love symmetry. So I mean, I have mapped this out as you can see. I just threw this on here quick. Like it was my thought that we could do something like this. Kind of similarly like where we're at right here is kind of the tail end of like this move right here. We did a double top. Certainly possible we could do a double bottom or like a deviation, something like this. But it's going to be contingent upon so many things happening. But this was a scenario that I've been entertaining because I've been trading for long enough to know that charts love symmetry almost to like a spooky degree where they just like the way that time lines up and the way that like a deviation above, even on the low time frame, a sweep of Monday's high will often precede a sweep of Monday's low, or vice versa. So it's like symmetry and liquidity theory on a high time frame, it still is relevant. So I mean, I would think that it would be a double bottom. I don't think it would be like a prolonged. Here's another scenario that I had. The last monthly FVG basically below us, unmitigated, is down here. So
I think every ICT trader sees that exact setup, like where you tag that monthly FVG above us and then want to go tag 12K.
For sure. So it'd be
I
like,
don't know that I adhere to the double bottom theory though, personally. I don't know that I adhere to it.
I don't know that I do either. I map out every possible scenario just so I'm not like surprised or I have a plan if something happens. But I mean, I think this would be like as low as we could possibly go if we got a black swan would be this level. But I'm not I'm in
I think if you
Tommy's
go
camp
below
with it.
12K and bulls don't show up, it is very, very bad. Like
Yeah.
catastrophically bad. And I'm not gonna like FUD because we're trading at 28K, but in a hypothetical where we do go below 12K, like that would be catastrophic.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, that wouldn't be good for here. Okay, so I posted this like really early on. Here, let's go like this. This was like a plan, you know. It was kind of like I don't know. It was a little aggressive, right? But
The
my
bear.
thought was that again, it's sort of this double bottom theory where here, I'll move this a bit so you can see it. My thought was like this 28.9 level, which we're now slicing through, is such a hot level. I mean, this is really ugly, right? Like this, like all this supply up here, that's so ugly. Oh my goodness. But my thought is maybe, you know, again, we could do something kind of like we did up here, you know? So like you buy it back, you know, take out this low. Like that's true like capitulation right there. So I've mapped it out, you know, but I don't know if like I just don't know if I'll be waiting. Like I don't necessarily attach a super high probability to it, but if it happens, like I have a game plan for it, you know. Which I think is really all you can do. One thing that I don't like is how little price action we've had below the yearly open on Bitcoin. I've talked about that. Um, Really, this is like January 1st. We literally just went straight up. Like we don't have don't have a wick. Here's the 12-month chart.
Couldn't that just be a meme though, too, Max? Because we have that CME gap at like 3.5K.
Do we have a CME?
I think so, or like 6K. I think just the idea, and I think I've tweeted about this earlier in the year, where the more illiquid the market gets, you know, you used to be able to use flat candles and like things that don't really trade below or under opens, or below or above opens, to you knew that they would get tagged again because there was liquidity. But when a market's illiquid, it's more likely that the market leaves it, which I think could be the case again. Maybe, I don't know.
I know there was a lot of memeing going on around this one right here, Tommy. It was a partial fill. So people were waiting for like the full fill and we just wicked into it. But I don't see any unmitigated CME gaps down here. I see like some gaps in the chart, but not like the weekend gap up, you know, like this looks
Is it
pretty
maybe it's a COVID gap?
um
Might be COVID led.
let's go down a little bit. I mean, it's okay too. Like there's plenty of gaps all over. Like it doesn't have to, you know, it's just
Or we're
something
dubious speculating.
right. I don't see any like big noticeable gaps.
There is some sort of meme about that. I know for a fact because I've heard people mention it before. I think the yearly open could be the same thing, at least in regards to the immediate trend. But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to what happens over, I think, the next like 5 or 6 months at this point, right? Because what are equities going to do? Is it a double top? Or are we going to continue seeing equities chad higher to all-time highs into Q4, into Q1? And I think I'm more inclined to think that it's going to continue trading higher than that this is a double top. But we are, I mean, the turbulence that we're seeing right now, I mean, it goes without saying, right?
Yeah, I mean we're gonna have some issues here for a little while. Like I don't think this is quickly resolved, guys. Like this is no joke. You know, this breakaway right here is no joke. This is going to be an issue for a while. Like it's unlikely we're back above 29K for a bit here. This is ugly, and we're not quite done yet. Let me see if how many liquidations have come in here recently. I don't even know if longs have even like puked really yet. Give me a second. I'm just looking over here on a derivatives data website. Yeah, they're starting to puke, but open interest hasn't really flushed, guys. Like that's concerning, Tommy.
It is concerning. I hope people aren't like just bidding support and holding under 28 like this, just hoping that this is like a sweep. It might be, but it could get messy. And I don't see any changes in funding that I'm observing right now. I will say the one notable thing about funding, what the hell? Why is Bybit? So funding on BNB this morning was super negative, was way more negative on Binance than it was on Bybit, which has kind of been a bit of a tell, right? Because if Binance is shorting their own coin more than Bybit, it's probably bearish. But Bybit funding, for whatever reason, just went insanely negative on BNB.
So here's the issue, guys. Here's funding rates that are. Oh, what's that, Tommy?
Are we about to get news?
I don't know, but the issue here is like we're seeing funding. Why can't we see that?
Oh God.
We're seeing funding climbing. Like people are longing this. So like when funding started climbing, open interest started climbing. Okay, they're starting to close a little bit. So we're getting like these down here. This is like liquidations. These are longs closing, but it's not really moving the needle too much. Like they're still, I think, longing this right here, and funding is reflecting that. It's like shorts are still getting paid right here. So I don't know. This is a little spooky, truthfully. Like people need to stop. They just need to stop doing what they're doing right now. What you'd really normally like to see on like a bottom with something like this, okay, is you'd want to see funding. Let's go to like the 6 hour. I don't think it's going to stop until we get negative funding, truthfully. Like you're going to want to see what happened here during, this crash. Look how negative funding went. You're going to want to see
huge long puke, and spot came in heavy. That's the exact print that you want to look for again.
Yep.
It kind of came in at the low, I think, in May or June too, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, let's go down now. We'll go to like
we had a few spurts of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can see like, so look, here's like when the bleeding will really stop. You're going to get funding going negative. People start shorting. You're going to see an OI flush, so contracts closing, and you're going to see a big long liquidations candle. Right now, we are not seeing much of anything. We're seeing funding still climbing, open interest still climbing, but we have seen some liquidations. This is telling me we have a lot more liquidations below us, guys.
They're just longing into spot sells, man, all week.
This is going to be a disaster. Yeah, no. They're being so dumb right now, dude. This is going to be a disaster.
Could get some fireworks this afternoon, but do you guys have any charts that you want us to look at real quick before we start to wrap up? Otherwise, I think we've been going for about an hour. And I think we have a space later today as well, right, Max?
Yeah, we do, Tommy. I'm scared, man. This is not looking good, man. I don't know what the hell they're doing right now.
I'm fine with whatever happens on the chart as long as I don't have to like scramble to protect my capital. That's always the worst, the systemic risk factor.
Yeah, I'm cool with that too.
I mean, God forbid that happens,
Okay, well, we'll see what happens here. Guys, we're at 23 likes. I would love if you guys could push us to 30, man. We got 33 people watching. We need 7 more people to like this video to help us get to 30. Thank you guys so much again for being here. All right, yeah, Tom, you take us out, man. This is ugly.
I'm probably going to go, man. Start today with some popcorn. And I did tweet the other day that when Bitcoin broke out of this volatility regime, I would drink some whiskey and I'd smoke a fat cigar. So that maybe that day is today. I'm not sure it's just gonna like fall off a cliff here, but it wouldn't shock me either. Definitely could be some fireworks later this week, guys. Most importantly, protect yourselves at the end of the day. There might be downside here, but myself personally, I think after this downside is completed, it is an absolutely long the dip type of moment. So we'll see where it goes. And stay safe. We appreciate you guys for being here. If you enjoyed the content today, want maybe a little bit more of an intimate look at how we're trading, how we approach this sell-off, you can always look at some of our premium services linked in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the link tree in our Twitter. But we appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you later. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.